Vì tối chị coi chị không nghĩ đó là do chị luôn á.
Nhiều lắm mà.
Bây giờ em nạn rồi, em chỉ nạn được cho chị 70%. Phần lại nó nhỏ nó non, tuần sau đi nạn tiếp nha. Vì da chị nó mụn ở vùng này là em nghĩ là nó liên quan tới khẩu trang với lại là nội tiết. Quên nó bảo hiểm rồi đó. Vì chị giặt sạch hết. Mọi người do mọi người bỏ quay cái mũ bảo hiểm á. Cái quên nó bảo hiểm mình đi mình ít dạ đó. Cái vùng mình nè. Ít thì em xong luôn á chị. Cho chị nạn cho em mấy đứa làm mấy việc khác. Viêm á. Đúng rồi đó, cái chỗ này nó viêm á. Rồi. Nó bình thường vậy. Con nạn chỗ này để dán tầng hương. Rồi. Nghe anh.
Alo, sữa chua chị Huyền là sữa chua gì?
Chị uống sữa chua chai hay gì đó?
Hả?
Chị uống sữa chua ly.
Chai.
Xe bạch đi. Cái gì anh?
Là mấy chai cân, nói chưa xong cấp máy vậy?
Một mình chị uống thì gọi chị thử coi có chị An uống không, xong gọi chị mà gọi em.
Trời ơi, thì anh biết là tắt phải gọi em chứ.
Con mơ biết là nó đang chịu đau đớn nó sao. Anh luôn. Vấn đề là con mơ biết nó đang chịu đau đớn nó sao. Không bực mình mới lạ nữa. Nó đang chịu đau đớn là sao mơ biết đấy.
Latest BMW Custom unveiled in Monaco. This wacky wood and metal cruiser, unveiled in Monaco earlier this month, is the result of the latest collaboration between BMW's R18 Boxer twin cruiser and a top custom house. It's called the R18 Magnifica and has been built by leading Italian customizers Radical Chopper. It received its public debut on June 8 at the exclusive Top Marques show held in the tiny principality on the Mediterranean coast. According to Radical's Andrea Rodali, the bike's inspiration came from vintage motorcycles of the 1920s, 30s, and 40s, in particular BMW's own R37 of 1925. After original sketches, almost everything was handcrafted without the recourse of off-the-shelf items. Wood was chosen as it is a strong reminder of bikes of the past, says Radaley, and took the place of the R37's brown leather saddle, the rear end being a mixture of hand-carved mahogany and polished stainless. Elsewhere, the one-off wheels were machined from aluminium billet and even the discs and calipers were specially made. The vintage-style girder forks were also machined from billet and are completely bespoke, as is the small, aluminium, vintage-style tank. Expect plenty of polished bare metal, too. Underneath, however, the donor R18 remains largely unchanged, including the air-cooled, shaft-drive 1802 cubic centimeters boxer twin-engine, electrical system and most of the dimensions. That said, it is nearly 100 kilograms lighter than the original and is said to remain just as rideable, not that we reckon it'll be used much on the commute. BMW have unveiled two new custom R18s at the Verona Motor Bike Expo that take the giant machine in polar opposite directions. The sport-inspired R18M from Italian magazine Low Ride, which was built by American Dreams, and the heritage touring-inspired R18 Aurora, created by Garage 221. Inspired by the streamlined aesthetic of BMW's M division, Low Ride focused on the chassis, suspension and bodywork, leaving the bike's running gear and electronics unchanged. BMW R18M by Low Ride seat. The original outline was drawn by Oberdan Betzi, famous for his concept sketches of new motorcycles. American Dreams stripped the bike, replacing the standard steel subframe with a new fiberglass unit that was built from scratch. The head covers and intake ducts were also chucked in favor of carbon fiber units built by specialists Carbon Italy. To match its new sporty styling, the exhaust was custom-made by Exhaust Revolution, specifically creating a short and more compact unit that allows for greater lean angles. The shorter pipes also show off more of the BMW's open shaft drive. Final touches such as mirrors, grips and indicators come from aftermarket gurus, Rizoma. At the opposite end of the scale, BMW also unveiled the R18 Aurora, an homage to 1970s cruisers, including a striking batwing fairing. Interestingly, Garage 221 opted to use parts from classic BMWs to build the machine. BMW R18 Aurora right-hand side. The saddle is from a 2005 R1200C. The fairing supports came from a 1982 R100 while the rear frame elements are from a 1991 K75. The paint color of the bike references a 1982 R100 RT, even down to the graphical elements. The rest of the parts, including mudguard supports, saddle frame and reg plate holder, are handmade. The pipes were built by Leo Vince, with special attention paid to creating a fuller sound while the design was chosen to give a muscular appearance to the middle of the bike. Even the oil cooler grille was inspired by a 1960s BMW car. It was a lot of hard work, but the result is truly stunning, says Pier Francesco from Garage 221. The textured paintwork of the cylinder head covers, the injection housings, the central crankcase and our oil cooler grille make everything look homogeneous, creating a unique effect. BMW's R18 Cruiser turned into tasty cafe racer in tie-up with Japanese Custom King. This sport endurance version of BMW's R18 Cruiser is the latest one-off custom to be made out of collaboration between the German firm and some of the world's leading bike builders. Called the Wall, German for whale, it's been built by Japanese customizer Shinya Kimura and is the third product of what BMW calls its Soul Fuel series, following previous custom R18s built in collaboration with Roland Sands and Dirk Olerking. Kimura is famous for his low slung customs and cafe racers and has also collaborated with Yamaha on their Dark Custom series and even had bikes featured in movies such as Iron Man. BMW R18 Wall under construction. His take on the R18 features an all-new, longer, larger one-off fuel tank, a half-race fairing with two asymmetrically arranged headlights designed to look like eyes and some fin teeth below. There's also an elongated seat hump and custom-made seat pad. The exhaust is standard, but painted black. Kimura said, "When I rode the production R18, I thought it might suit my build and riding preferences better if I designed it to be a little more front-facing with a fairing. I also wanted to be able to ride for long distances while feeling and enjoying the legendary Boxer engine. The bike is wild and has almost inexhaustible power on the one hand, yet is completely good-natured on the other, just like a whale, hence the name." BMW R18 gets the works, customized Boxer on sale now from German builder. This uber-cool customized BMW R18 is the latest from celebrated German bike builder Markus Walls, who's now making replicas of the bike that you can buy, for just under £30,000. Ex-racer Walls is one of the biggest names in German customizing via his vast Wallswork business based in Hockenheim and also for his Walls hardcore machines. He's been building bikes for over 30 years, produces a range of BMW kits for the likes of the R9T and K100 as well as one-off custom machines, and this newcomer, based on BMW's all-new 1,800 cubic centimeters R18 Cruiser, is his latest creation. BMW R18 Wallswork engine. Potential customers can either buy a ready-made bike, Walls has a stock of brand new R18s ready for conversion, or supply their own. The base model features a Wallswork bobber seat, front and rear fenders, exhaust, side mount number plate, black headlamp, pegs and fuel cap, special mirrors and German-style bar and indicators, plus special engine and numbered plaques. This costs €32,990, £28,225, or around £10,000 more than the standard R18. From there, customers shop from a huge range of further Wallswork accessories including different valve covers, grips, custom paint, black pack, big 21 18-inch wheel kit, different handlebars, and more. Fair enough, Kingston Custom present BMW R18 build. First published on January 19, 2021 by Ben Clark. BMW R18 Spirit of Passion. Another custom BMW R18 has been unveiled, this time built by Dirk Olerking of Kingston Custom in Gelsenkirchen, Germany. The Art Deco-inspired creation is called the Spirit of Passion and follows other custom builds based on the R18 Cruiser model by customizers including Roland Sands and Bernhard Naumann. The most obvious modification on the Spirit of Passion is an enormous fairing that encloses the front wheel and much of the engine. This bodywork along with the handlebars and rear mudguard were created in-house at Kingston Custom, where the exhausts were also modified. The indicators were swapped for Kellerman units and an LED headlight is integrated with the custom front fairing unit. Aside from that and a saddle chosen from BMW's own accessories catalog, Olerking left the rest of the bike largely unchanged. The BMW R18 is so perfect that I left the technology as it is. The frame is 100% original and so sophisticated that nothing should be changed here, he said. Bernhard Blechmann Naumann builds sleek BMW R18 Custom. Another custom-built BMW R18 has been unveiled ahead of the bike's official launch. This time, the big cruiser was modified by Bernhard Naumann, who is also known as Blechmann, German 4-Tin Man, thanks to his distinctive sheet metal work. The design is dominated by the headlight cowling complete with a nostril-like yellow lamp aperture and screen. The fuel tank has been reworked to look sportier and narrower, exposing even more of the 1,800 cubic centimeters big Boxer engine and complementing the new clip-on handlebars. At the rear, the original subframe is retained but a new single-seat unit has been created over the top with a brown leather saddle pad and retro buckles. Blechmann BMW R18 left front. The whole bike is finished in black with classic BMW white pinstriping and took Naumann and his team 450 hours to complete. My work begins by removing parts of the original version until a white canvas remains, said Naumann. As the construction progresses, the design develops. I call this rapid prototyping Blechmann style. I draw my design directly on the object using the final material. This allows me to directly respond to the requirements and to keep an eye on the proportions at all times. Who dragged you up? Roland Sands creates custom dragster from BMW R18. The latest custom designer to be given free rein with BMW's R18 Cruiser is Roland Sands, and this muscle car-inspired dragster is the result. With a pared-down design that makes a showpiece of the 1802 cubic centimeters big boxer engine at its heart, the dragster transforms the R18 from laid-back cruiser to mean-looking, nitrous oxide-breathing straight liner. Starting from the front, the forks are taken from an R9T and paired with the brakes from an S1000RR. The fuel tank is retained from the donor bike, albeit with a custom, pinstriped paint job, and the exhausts are replaced with twin stainless megaphone pipes. From the engine backwards, the modifications become even more extreme. The frame has been heavily modified to do away with rear suspension, a new custom seat has been fitted and drag bike foot pegs have been added just in front of the rear spindle. BMW R18 dragster profile. With an engine that's so visibly the centerpiece, I immediately thought of muscle cars, said Roland Sands of the creation. My family has always been into going fast and my dad was a drag racer, so I thought it made sense to strip the bike down to the essentials and shape it to go fast on a straight track. A drag bike is only as good as its engine, and so Sands and team set about finding ways to pep up the R18's 89 brake horsepower powerplant. The electronics were definitely the most difficult task we had to deal with as we put in nitrous oxide, stripped out the stock exhaust and changed the intake drastically. It was a bit of an experiment, but we dialed it in. The dragster features a host of bits from BMW's milled parts design collection. The levers, wheels, valve covers, breastplate, headlight and gauges all come from the R18's two-tone black extras catalog. The front and rear fenders, though, were modified from stock to retain the bike's silhouette. Sands added, "We always want to understand the genre of the bike we are building in, it's the key to keeping it authentic and functional." Revival Birdcage custom hints at new BMW Boxer Cruiser. If you thought the air-cooled BMW Boxer engine was destined to eke out its final days powering the existing R9T range of heritage offerings, with no chance of further development in the face of ever-toughening emissions regulations, think again. Hiding in plain sight on a radical custom creation unveiled in Yokohama, Japan, at the end of 2018 was an all-new air-cooled BMW engine, supplied direct from BMW Motorrad in Germany to be the heart of this custom works-on crazy special build. This was no R9T derivative, it was an all-new engine, and the R18 name carried on the original bike's tailpiece, as well as the huge physical size of the crankcases and heads, suggested this could be an 1,800 cubic centimeters boxer twin built to directly attack Harley-Davidson and Indian's dominance of the big-capacity airhead market on their home soil. Now, around 4 months later, a second custom machine has been revealed featuring the same large-capacity boxer engine, with Vice President of Sales and Marketing, Timo Resch, revealing in a statement that BMW Motorrad will present a series production motorcycle with the big boxer for the cruiser segment in the course of 2020. The Birdcage features a large-capacity boxer twin. Known as the Revival Birdcage, the bike was created by American custom house Revival Cycles and was revealed for the first time last Thursday evening at the Hand-Built Show in Austin, Texas. Resch then went on to say, "Naturally we want to keep growing. One step we will take to do so, certainly in the US market, is to enter the cruiser segment." BMW Motorrad is consistently pursuing its growth strategy with the clear aim of becoming the number one in the premium big bike segment. Inspired by German motorcycle racer Ernst Henni's record-setting machines from the late 1920s and early 1930s, the Birdcage uses a titanium frame, designed to give maximum exposure to the big boxer engine. Alongside this, many of the parts, including the handlebars, footrests and carbon suspension components were all individually crafted, to create an additional layer of exclusivity. The entire build took around 5 months to complete. Speaking about the project, head of Revival Cycles, Alan Stolberg, said, "The frame came together very well in the end and we are very pleased with the result, as it accomplished the goal of being nearly transparent. We wanted to focus attention on the engine and that is precisely what we achieved with this completely unique frame we designed. You can easily view the engine and the drivetrain from all angles," Stolberg added. "I have always been a fan of the Boxer engine, but the pure physical size and aesthetic appeal of this prototype really inspired us." All-new air-cooled BMW engine. BMW say the engine is still in the prototype stage, and that the external geometry and visible elements such as the push rods running above the cylinders and chrome-plated protection ducts recall BMW Motorrad Boxer engines that were built until the late 1960s, but with an evidently larger capacity and a modern air/oil cooling. Further details about the engine and its possible future use will be communicated at a later point in time. BMW 1,800 cubic centimeters air-cooled Boxer engine. BMW have long been looking at options for a serious large-capacity air-cooled platform to help them break into the lucrative American V-twin market, even experimenting with an upright W3-cylinder configuration to solve the feet-forward issues caused by the Boxer's head position. But it seems they've decided to plow on with their trademark Boxer configuration, and that its almost 100-year heritage is hugely important to their future direction. The new engine reverts to pushrods, finned heads, massive domed crankcases that look to house a huge flywheel, and distinctly 1920s/30s styling cues. It won't be a relic of the past though, and will have to boast impressive technology to enable it to pass the Euro 5 regulations that will be enforced before any production bike will be ready to launch. This concept's exhaust could clearly never pass noise regulations, and nor could the use of pleasingly old-school carburetors. The production bikes will obviously be fuel-injected, while much of the rest of the engine's packaging looks well resolved already. Custom Works on BMW. BMW have clearly learnt from the custom scene, too, with cleverly concealed components hidden where the airbox would reside on an old R-Series Boxer, from which the coil packs leads snake elegantly down behind the carbs and into the back of the cam covers. Interestingly, it also retains the firm's trademark shaft drive, ensuring no messy chains or unsightly belts and sprockets will ruin the cleanliness of the back end. Extreme vision for BMW Custom. Yuichi Yoshizawa of Custom Works Son commented, "It was a great honor and a challenge to be able to build a motorcycle around the prototype of such a spectacular new Boxer engine for one of the most tradition-steeped manufacturers." Zon's distinctive style is abundantly obvious, with wild aesthetics underpinned by classic styling cues and modern production techniques. The very low silhouette of the bike is reminiscent of Ernst Henne's record-breaking machines of the late 1920s and 1930s, while the defining headline is the combination of large 21 inches front and ridiculous 26-inch rear milled aluminium wheels. The Custom Works Son team in their workshop. The girder fork was also machined from solid aluminium billet while the swing arm and main frame are steel trellis, with a bolt-on front cradle to facilitate removal of the large volume engine. The fuel tank, seat unit and front trim are handcrafted from sheet metal. There's no word from BMW about further concepts, or the new R18 engine's debut in a production model, but we'd expect to see more of the former soon, and for an official BMW concept to appear in late 2019, followed by the unveil of a production bike the following year. Welcome to EC Motor Reviews channel. Aprilia Tuono 660 Factory, 2022 on review. At a smidge off 99 brake horsepower, it's no super naked powerhouse, and its chassis and electronics hardly reinvent the wheel. However, tipping the scales at a claimed 181 kilograms wet and suspended by quality fully adjustable KYB forks and a Sachs monoshock, it slices from one corner to the next like scissors through wrapping paper. It won't rip your arms off like its V4 Tuono older siblings, but it's playful and predictable, making it a thoroughly enjoyable road bike from the off. Anyone that thinks you need a billion horses and the latest semi-active doodads to have a brilliant time on the road needs to ride a 660 Factory. Building on the already capable base spec 9,700 pounds Tuono 660, the factory also gets an IMU as standard for lean-sensitive electronics, plus a claimed 2 kilograms reduction in weight, and a smidge under 5 extra horsepowers, taking it out of the realms of an 8.2 license holder and closer to more powerful rivals like the Yamaha MT-09. Tipping in with the slightest press of the wide upright bars, the superb Pirelli Diablo Rosso Corsa 2 tires heat quickly to provide wonderful front-end feel at speed, and there's never any intrusion from the lean-sensitive ABS. Although you're unlikely to notice the extra power over the standard bike, the parallel twin engine provides enough poke to live up to its factory badges, without feeling overwhelming on the public roads. Out go the standard Tuono 660's rebound and preload adjustable suspension components, and in comes a pair of fully adjustable 41mm KYB forks and a Sachs rear shock. Not only more adjustable than the base bike, the new kit works brilliantly with the Pirelli Diablo Rosso Corsa 2 tires, providing a composed ride that allows you to fully exploit its twin-cylinder engine without tying yourself in knots. There's no aggressive head shaking through the bars or squatting at the rear under acceleration, an issue sometimes found on its fully fair RS660 sibling, giving you the confidence to push on after a handful of miles in the saddle. Granted, it can be a little crashy over serious dents in the tarmac, but to cater to those would be to the detriment of its sporting prowess. On top of the handling, Aprilia also say the factory has been on a diet, dropping around 2 kilograms for a claimed curb weight of 181 kilograms, making it one of the lightest in class and helping to offset its lack of power when compared to the similarly priced 117 brake horsepower Yamaha MT-09 and 114 brake horsepower KTM 890 Duke. Without riding it back-to-back with the standard Tuono, I'd be lying if I said I could tell the weight difference, but it does feel incredibly nimble between your legs, flicking from left to right almost telepathically as you push against the wide upright bars. It's also a doddle to move around and easy to hold on one foot, making it more accessible to a wider range or riders. The factory gets a claimed extra 4.9 brake horsepower, taking it a step closer to rivals like the 9,400-pound Yamaha MT-09 and taking it out of the realms of 8.2 license compliance. Much like the weight saving, it's difficult to say just how much effect the boost has had, but in isolation it shines as a tractable unit that encourages you to chase the revs far into the red. It really is a cracking motor that remains engaging well past the honeymoon stage, something I can vouch for after spending 2021 with an RS660 in the garage, which shares the same base unit. Although torque remains the same, the factory drops of tooth on the front sprocket for more urgency, yowling back at you like a wannabe V4 as wind the throttle to the stop for maximum road-going thrills, without fear of losing your license. Being a new bike, it's hard to predict quite how the Aprilia Tuono 660 factory will fare long-term. However, having lived with an RS660 for a year, I am confident in saying it will stand the test of time. After all, the factory shares much of the same components as the RS, and all I had to do all year with that was adjust the chain twice. That said, it did suffer with thin paint around the matte petrol tank. The Tuono is gloss, and sprang a tiny oil weep at around 6,000 miles that was easily rectified back at Aprilia HQ. What's more, owners' reviews of the standard Tuono 660 score the bike an average 4.3 out of 5 stars for reliability and build quality, scoring the bike down for some finishes and fasteners. Welcome to EC Motor Reviews channel. ARC Vector, 2022 on review. ARC founder Mark Trueman designed the Vector while working at Jaguar Land Rover, and he's a dyed-in-the-wool bike nut who's raced everything from motocross, Suzuki RGV 250S, and Yamaha FCR 400 SPs in a previous life. ARC also work with the automotive industry using their know-how to develop their EV projects. They have had a difficult start to life. A major investor pulled out, causing the company to go into receivership in 2019 before production started, and if it wasn't for Trueman plowing his own money in to realize his dream a year later, they wouldn't be here now. But now the future looks brighter and the first Vector rolled off the production line on September 2022, ready to be shipped off to a customer in the US. ARC have bravely gone for two unconventional technologies for its maiden motorcycle project at once: battery power and hub center steering. The benefits of its funny front end will be felt at very fast road or track speeds, but it robs the Vector's front end of some feel. Its huge battery pack makes this a very heavy machine for its size and can be unwieldy at walking pace, but the acceleration, speed and smoothness it delivers is outstanding. Shed some weight and wrap this powertrain in a cheaper, more conventional chassis for the masses, and the ARC shows how bright our electric sports bike future could be. The Vector's frame is actually a 3-piece carbon fiber box that contains the 399V battery pack and the mountings for the steering assembly, front swing arm, electric motor and self-supporting seat unit. Carbon front mudguard and rear hugger are structural components, and the rear swing arm bolts to the back of the engine. Carbon BST wheels are shod with Pirelli Diablo Rosso 4 Corsa rubber. Bimoto-style hub center steering has its swing arm pivot below the front spindle line. It promotes an element of dive and reduces the wheelbase on the brakes, like a telescopic fork setup, to help the ARC turn. The system allows a racy steering geometry while retaining stability with rake at just 20 degrees, far steeper than any superbike. ARC experimented with an 18-degree angle during development, which worked well on track, but was too responsive for the road. Trail is 105 mm and wheelbase 1,450 mm. Throwing a leg over a motorcycle that costs the same as a Ducati Superleggera is always intimidating enough, but there's a lot else going on to unnerve you at first. There's a sequence of buttons to push on the domino switchgear to make it live, and after that the engine waits for you silently, which is always slightly sinister on an electric bike. It has a funny Bimoto Tessie front end, looks like an extra from a superhero movie, and is incredibly heavy for a diminutive machine. There are no gears or clutch, the back brake is on the left bar, like a scooter, and the dash display is recessed into the top of a tank that stretches all the way down to its LED projector headlight, like the nose of an F1 car. It's a lot to take in at first, but despite it all the ARC Vector acts and rides just like any motorcycle. Each Vector will be tailored to the owner, from the seating and handlebar position to the manufacture of bespoke billet ollie foot pegs. This prototype's layout and general size is reminiscent of a naughty super sport bike, like a Honda CBR 600RR. It's compact and racy, but not particularly uncomfortable. Ride quality has the firmness of something like a Suzuki GSX or 1000R, again, not too extreme. What separates the Vector from its rivals, or any mass-produced petrol-powered sports bike, isn't just its stiff carbon monocoque chassis, but its hub center steering. Unlike telescopic forks, the ARC system separates braking forces from suspension movement. The Öhlins front shock only needs to deal with bumps, which lets the ARC turn sweetly, even with a big handful of Brembos. It also allows much steeper steering geometry and a short wheelbase for fast steering, without sacrificing stability. At road speeds there are no tangible advantages to the ARC's hub center steering, but no big drawbacks either, aside from limited lock and a slight disconnect you feel through the bars with ultralight steering inputs. For the most part the Vector steers and handles conventionally, and thanks to its low front swing arm pivot position the dive it produces trail braking into a corner gives you feel. But when you let go of the brakes and tip in, the pressure you'd normally feel running up the forks, or even a BMW telelever setup, and into your hands as the tire digs in, disappears. It gives the sudden impression of running wide or losing grip. It's just a different sensation to learn to after a lifetime on forks, but it can be unnerving, especially on cold Michelin Power Cup 2 rubber fitted to this prototype. The front end would be easier to trust on a hot day, or on track where tires generate more heat lap on lap. ARC also say the production version will come on more road-biased Pirelli Diablo Rosso 4 rubber, which solves the problem. Welcome to EC Motor Reviews channel. Mac Double Up, Brit firm introduces second single-cylinder model ahead of NEC public debut. British bike firm Mack Motorcycles have revealed the Rex, a second single-cylinder model, ahead of both bikes' public debut at this year's Motorcycle Live show. The upright machine shares the same tubular steel backbone frame. SWM produced 600 cubic centimeters motor and ancillaries as Mack's Ruby Cafe Racer, which MCN reported on in July. The 2022 NEC show from November 19th to 27th will be the first time the bikes will be seen by the public. It will be great just to get people's reaction to it, co-founder Ian Oliver said. It'll be interesting to see which one garners the most interest. When you get people who can relate to it and think, yes, that's what I was looking for, it makes you feel you're on the right lines. The single-seat Rex differs from the Ruby with raised, flatter bars for a comfier riding position. The tailpiece is also more relaxed, but the 760mm seat height remains the same on both models. Both the Rex and Ruby produce a claimed 52 brake horsepower from their 4-valve, fuel-injected motor. There's also a hydraulic clutch and 6-speed gearbox to feed power to the ground. The thumping single soundtrack is boosted by stainless steel twin-exit pipes produced by Italian firm, QD. Bikes will be assembled in Britain, with the body panels from both machines intended to be interchangeable with around an hour of fettling, meaning you could own one bike for a period of time, before switching, or run a half-and-half configuration. To facilitate this, all the cabling has been made long enough to work with either the hunched-over Ruby or raised Rex positions. The overall wheelbase of both will be 1,430mm, with the top speed said to be in the region of 100 miles per hour. We want people to be riding bikes ready for next summer, Oliver continued. They will be assembled in Yorkshire. Where else would you make the best motorcycle in the world, but in the best county in the world? Welcome to EC Motor Reviews channel. CCM reveal new cruiser at NEC. Brit firm's 2-up bike is aimed at weekend getaways. That power unit, complete with gloss red cylinder head cap and carbon casing covers, is held in the firm's trademark chrome alloy steel tubular frame finished in black. Although full details remain under wraps, a glance at the side profile reveals a new subframe which protrudes further than that found on the likes of the classic Tracker, allowing for a roomy rider seat and an elevated pillion, both of which appear well padded. At 765mm the seat height should be accessible for most, helped by the narrow single-cylinder engine, while a raised handlebar position adds to rider comfort. Boosting the cruiser's long weekend ability are a pair of buckle-up leather panniers. Also featured is a roll-style bag sitting on top of the rear mudguard. The cruiser will be only the second bike in the CCM Spitfire-derived range to include luggage as standard, after the 18,000-pound baby blue RAF Benevolent Fund Spitfire. Unlike the premium Air Force machine though, the cruiser rolls on Excel-spoked rims with dual-purpose Kenda tires, allowing you to take your weekends off the beaten track, should you so wish. Brake and suspension setups appear to be the same as on the Tracker with a monoshock rear and upside-down Marzocchi forks up front. Stopping duties will be performed by J1 brakes with a 4-piston radial caliper gracing the front. The tank is likely to be the same nylon composite while a carbon fiber front mudguard bracket and radiator housing complete the bike. CCM Cruiser in detail. High bars, built for comfort, the bars are wide and high to negate pressure on the wrists on long-distance rides. Simple beauty, the steel trellis frame is beautiful in its simplicity, finished on the cruiser model in flat black. Light on its feet, according to CCM, the cruiser weighs in at just 146 kilograms dry, making it one of the lighter mid-size cruiser models on the market. Swing low, the low-slung dual exhausts protrude below soft luggage, flanking the trellis swing arm. Welcome to EC Motor Reviews channel. Honda CBF 1000, 2006 to 2009, review. The big CBF uses a detuned Honda Fireblade engine, is fabulously easy handling with smooth throttle response and great ergonomics. Alavis makes the Honda CBF 1000 hooningly enjoyable, yet novice-friendly and a great value all-rounder. It's just a shame it looks so dull. Knife through butter stuff. Hondas are often smooth and sweet, but the silky Honda CBF 1000 takes it to another level. Ride and comfort on the Honda CBF 1000 is sublime, and despite seemingly budget-grade suspension and brakes, handling is precise and with a quality feel too. Sports bike riders will be impressed with the Honda CBF 1000's ride. The 2006 Honda Fireblade engine is reworked for added mid-range, at the expense of top-end power, and the result, as demonstrated in the Honda CBF 1000, is a blast. The Honda CBF 1000 is idiot-proof, flexible, glitch-free, delivers exactly where you want it yet is still 140 miles per hour potent if you want it to be. The Honda CBF 1000 suspension, wheels etc. may not be cutting-edge sports bike fare and the frame just a steel spine type, that alloy side cover is a fake, but it's all bolted together and finished to Honda's usual high standards. Nor are there any reliability issues so far with the Honda CBF 1000 and, with the engine being a detuned version of the blades, are there likely to be? Whichever way you look at it, the Honda CBF 1000 is a lot of bike for the money. Great superbike-derived engine, fine chassis, excellent rider comforts and superb practicality and versatility, all for under £6,000 makes for an almost unbeatable deal. Being a Honda, the CBF 1000's residuals should be better than most, too. Find a Honda CBF 1000 for sale. It may have cost under £6,000 new, but the Honda CBF 1000 isn't lacking. There's comprehensive instrumentation, an adjustable seat and levers, decent half-fairing and ABS and luggage kit are available as optional extras if you want to turn your Honda CBF 1000 into a real tourer. Welcome to EC Motor Reviews channel. Few specifics are available for the scooter, which will be available from the middle of next year, but those we do know will pique the interest of riders across Europe. Accelerating from 0 to 62.5 miles per hour in just 2.8 seconds, and with a top speed of 125 miles per hour, the Senmenti Zero will be a match for any two-wheeler off the line. What's more, Horween claimed that at a steady 54 miles per hour the futuristic-looking bike will travel 186 miles with no drop-off in performance as the battery drains. Once out of juice, charging with the supercharge function allows 0 to 80% to be achieved in just 30 minutes at EV charging points. Technology is also abundant on the Sen. Those sensors also include ones to monitor tire pressure, ABS, assisted hill start and crash alert system, reverse assist, keyless start, driving modes, adaptable suspension, heated grips and a heated seat are also included. The battery can also be used to power camping equipment and other electric accessories. Welcome to EC Motor Reviews channel. Kymco CV3 offers motorcycle performance on a car license. Powered by the same 51 brake horsepower 550.4 cubic centimeters parallel twin as the Taiwanese firm's AK550 scooter and AK550 Premium Maxi scooters, it's capable of a claimed 105 miles per hour and can be locked upright at a standstill for easier parking and stability at the lights. Featuring two 13-inch alloy front rims bolted to a four-forked leaning suspension system, the CV3 offers the wheel spacing required for drivers to hop aboard without a bike license, providing they pass their test before 2013. The locking system is controlled via the right switchgear and can be deactivated manually or automatically once riding. Once you are rolling, the CV3 is capable of a claimed 40 degrees of lean and also qualifies for London's ultra-low emission zone, ULEZ, regs. Going up against rivals such as the 11,500 pounds Piaggio MP3 exclusive 530, the Kymco provides an alternative to public transport for commuting and is set to arrive in dealers at the start of 2023. The 265 kilograms, dry, twist-and-go machine features premium touches such as cruise control, keyless ignition, LED lighting and a 6-inch TFT dash, with an audible bleep sounding once the indicators are activated. You even get a progressive foot brake pedal that applies the anchors on all 3 ABS-equipped wheels. Ahead of its arrival in dealers, MCN grabbed the keys to a pre-production CV3 to sample it on the drizzly roads of Northamptonshire, alongside the 9,899 pounds AK550 it is based on. The wet weather gave an immediate appreciation for just how much protection you get from the elements. I spent the day in riding jeans, with no fear of wet legs thanks to its tall, broad nose and all-encompassing screen. Leaning against the backrest and sinking into the plush perch, there is ample comfort for even the longest of commutes, and you could tour on it with ease. It's not what you'd call exciting though, providing a burbling soundtrack and sufficient linear power to stay ahead of the traffic without blowing your socks off. This is very much an appliance for covering big miles and dodging the traffic, but should still feel like a rocket to car drivers making the switch to 3 wheels. One thing motorcycle riders will notice is how slow the steering feels. It's planted and reassuring, but the CV3 is lazy on direction changes and makes the 2-wheeled, 226 kilograms, dry, AK550 feel agile in comparison. Also, in order to accommodate the front suspension, under-seat storage is reduced to little more than a single crash helmet, with no cubby holes up front. Given this is one of the key advantages of a scooter, it's a real negative. Taiwanese manufacturer Kymco unveiled 2 concept scooters at this week's Milan show, one of which has 3 wheels. Kymco are classing both bikes as adventure tourers, although there doesn't look to be that much potential for adventure with the small wheel size and road tires. The CV3 is the 3-wheel version, and looks like a mashup between a Piaggio MP3 and the new Yamaha Nikon. Kymco revealed a teaser video for the models last month, and we believe both models will be powered by the same 550 cubic centimeters parallel twin engine used in the firm's AK550. Kymco haven't confirmed this, and now they expect the new models to have a power output greater than the AK550. Welcome to EC Motor Reviews channel. Morini poised for desert action, Italians hint at rugged new up-spec X-Cape Rally Edition. Appearing on the firm's stand splat with mud, the ADVR, are for racing, features visible upgrades over the road-going X-Cape. The 649 cubic centimeters parallel twin remains unchanged, but helping it breathe is an SC Project Racing exhaust system that should add a few ponies to the existing 60 brake horsepower at 8250 RPM. Appearing on the firm's stand splat with mud, the ADVR, are for racing, features visible upgrades over the road-going X-Cape. The 649 cubic centimeters parallel twin remains unchanged, but helping it breathe is an SC Project Racing exhaust system that should add a few ponies to the existing 60 brake horsepower at 8250 RPM. For added off-road protection, the engine is cradled by a steel tubular crash bar that is available as an optional extra on the X-Cape and bolts onto the same steel trellis. Unlike the standard black add-on, the ADVR features a silver version to complement the silver, black, gold and white livery. Additional extras include a full aluminium sump guard, a €200 extra on the basic model, plus hand and lever guards and an aluminium radiator screen to help keep the bike protected on rutted lanes. An Öhlins shock with a remote preload adjuster damps the rear, while the original 50mm fork tubes appear to remain unchanged. Elsewhere, front brake shrouds protect the dual discs, which again look unchanged from the base model. Gold wheels adorn the ADVR with a 19 inches front and 17 inches rear, providing off-road capability, with Metzeler Karoo 3s replacing the original Pirelli Scorpion Rally STRs. Stylistically, there are benefits from a slightly more aggressive look at the rear to accommodate the raised off-road seat, which may be a problem for shorter riders as the standard model already measures up at 845mm. Moto Morini X-Cape ADVR rear shock adjuster. Should it make production, the ADVR's trail-focused extras should make it a contender. The X-Cape retails for £7,000 as standard, considerably less than a Yamaha Tenere 700. The racing model would go up against Yamaha's 11,800-pound World Raid Edition. Moto Morini X Cape ADVR in detail. Rally Raider, the ADVR enters a popular segment of the market, with more riders opting for lighter, more manageable adventure bikes for on- and off-road adventures. Hit the trails. The bike is based on the X Cape, which features a decent 18-liter fuel tank as standard, plenty of juice for getting off the beaten track. Added adjustment, an Öhlins rear shock with remote adjuster replaces the standard KYB preload adjustable monoshock. Make some noise. The full SC Project exhaust will unlock a better soundtrack, but it's not road legal and unlikely to feature on any production models. In safe hands, the reinforced handguards will protect your fingers from knocks against branches when riding off-road. Welcome to EC Motor Reviews channel. Norton Commando 961, 2023 on review. However, the modern interpretation never quite hit its mark. Factor in all the other well-documented issues surrounding the British firm during the Stuart Garner era, and the Commando name lost some of its appeal. But now it's back. With huge investment from Indian owners TVS and a posh factory to play with, revitalized Norton have launched a re-engineered and revised Commando 961. With strict new quality processes in place, they hope the latest version makes the famous name desirable again. And it does. The Commando experience is now what you expect of a traditional British parallel twin, but without all the niggles and worries that came with the previous version. It doesn't just ride better but is nicer built too. Even the quality of fasteners and little brackets is better than before. The previous version gave the impression it was assembled using whatever nuts and bolts were to hand. Whether it's worth the best bit of 17 grand depends on your perspective. Compared to Triumph's similar-looking Thruxton RS, the new Commando costs £3,000 more yet has less power, a much lower equipment level and, I suspect, less outright handling potential. However, where the Triumph feels like a modern mass-produced bike with period style, the Norton gives a genuine sense of a connection to its famous ancestors. With its thudding power, engaging feel, handmade frame, classy anodized aluminium yokes and hand-polished exhausts, the Commando is different. Indifferent in a good way. Norton have revised the frame. Oil for the dry-sump engine is carried in a tank in the frame, near the steering head, and they discovered that there was a chance of cracks during their thorough testing of the inherited design. So, the materials and design have been altered to improve the frame's strength. The steel tube frame is otherwise unchanged, and uses the same geometry, rake, trail, wheelbase, seat height, as before. Easy and predictable handling was one of the Commando's plus points, so there was no point making changes for the sake of it. With its racy geometry, fully adjustable Öhlins suspension and Dunlop Sportmax tires, the Commando certainly handles. There are faster turning machines, but the Norton's steering is light, it's agile on tight B-road roads, and rolls confidently into fast A-road sweeps. Suspension is on the firm side of comfortable. However, hit larger bumps or push on a bit and the damping quality makes itself felt, and there's plenty of feedback, especially on the head-down CR version. With chunky vibes from the motor, booming pipes and contact through the round foot pegs, the 961 is an engaging place to be. It's an all-Brembo brake setup and works well, if not having standout power. There's straightforward ABS. Engine. It's the same 961 cubic centimeters parallel twin as before, complete with pushrods, 2 valves per cylinder, air cooling and the other features expected of a traditional British motor. It looks the same, sounds the same, but makes a bit less claimed power, 77 brake horsepower at 7250 RPM, against the previous 80 brake horsepower. However, most of the 350-odd changes Norton have made to the bike happen here, with new camshafts and valve train, improved materials and, crucially, proper testing. Where the previous version could suffer with poor fueling and flat spots, the revised one responds sweetly and pulls cleanly all the way to its soft 7,000 RPM-ish rev limiter. It's not the fastest retro, nor the smoothest, but the old-fashioned 961 makes up for it with involvement and connection. Bikes at the launch were only just run in, and so the transmissions were a little stiff, but the 5-speed gearbox shifts easily enough, and has a linkage that doesn't bend, as it could before. High-class chassis components? Yes. Handmade frame and exhausts? Yes. Lovingly finished surfaces and tip-top presentation? Yup, all of that. There's no question that the Commando is screwed together well. Any worries about half-arsed production lingering from the firm's previous incarnation can be discarded. It's not entirely high-class. The ignition key and barrel look and feel a little cheapo, and one of the launch bikes jettison the headlight switch. The engine also needs a bit of throttle to start when it's warm. However, overall the Commando supports all of Norton's claims about investment and high standards. Safe buy? I reckon so. There are two versions of the Commando, the SP, Sport, 16,499 pounds, with upright handlebars, and the CR, Cafe Racer, 16,999 pounds, with TG-welded aluminium clip-ons and a stainless steel headlight that's discreetly different. The lower bars on the CR do more than altering the riding position, the difference in weight distribution changing how the Commando feels and responds. Both are available in Matrix Black or Manx Platinum, with the black CR having a black wheel rim option as well. The engine isn't Euro 5, and so bikes go through Individual Vehicle Approval, IVA, previously known as SVA. 16,500 pounds is obviously a lot of money. Triumph's excellent Thruxton RS basically does the same job as the Commando, only with more power and far more equipment, but is $3,000 cheaper. Or you could buy a Speed Twin 900 or Moto Guzzi V7 and get the same sort of performance as the Norton for half the price. The Commando 961 isn't doing the same thing, though. Where the Triumphs feel like modern mass-produced bikes with period styling, the Commando supplies a richer experience and more sensations, and you're paying for all the handmade loveliness. You're also likely to have rock-solid residuals with the Norton. The Commando is old school. You get ABS and, well, that's it as far as modern technology and widgets go. Unlike rival bikes from Triumph and Moto Guzzi which feature modes, traction control, connectivity and more, the Commando keeps things old school. A small digital panel in the twin analog dials gives the option of odometer, trip, time or battery voltage. You'll have to recharge your smartphone somewhere else. Welcome to EC Motor Reviews channel. Moto Guzzi V100 Mandello, 2023 on review. But it's anything but a misty-eyed, two-wheeled reminisce. It's thoroughly modern with a tasteful color dash and lean-sensitive rider aids. Go for the 15,750-pound S model and you get extra goodies like semi-active Öhlins Smart EC 2.0 semi-active suspension and an up/down quick shifter, too. In terms of elegance and detailing, the Guzzi puts its sports touring rivals in the shade, but what is the competition? The Kawasaki Ninja 1000SX, Suzuki GSX-S 1000 GT, and BMW R1250 RS are obvious rivals, but in the flesh, it looks like a lowrider Yamaha Tracer 9, or Honda Northern Territory 1100. The Moto Guzzi's upright riding position even has shades of Aprilia Tuono V4 about it, which is no surprise as they're both developed by Piaggio at their Noali factory near Venice. Technically the Mandello is a different beast to any previous Guzzi. Not only is it fitted with electronics that wouldn't look out of place on a superbike and a new engine, it's also the first production bike to have adaptive aerodynamics, although their effect is minimal. Flappy wings aside, Moto Guzzi has created a tasteful sports tourer that's neither bland nor shouty and offers the perfect mix of comfort, sportiness, tech and character. It's pricey, but the V100 Mandello is well made with great attention to detail and feels like a machine that's come from the heart rather than just a model produced to fill a gap in a model range. It's like nothing else around, which is all part of its appeal, and you never get the sense, either by riding or looking at it, that any corners were cut during its journey from design sketch to showroom floor. Although the Mandello might look chunky in pictures with its bold styling, larger-than-life powertrain and chunky exhausts, it sits surprising low. Shorter riders will feel immediately confident being able to get feet flat on the floor, and if the standard 815mm seat height is still too lofty, there's a low accessory seat available. The riding position itself is nigh on perfect. Pegs are sporty without cramping knees. Even for 6-footers like me, a higher accessory seat is available for even more legroom, and its tall bars are placed naturally towards the rider so there's no awkward stretch or excess pressure on your wrists. The seat is comfy and scalloped at the rear to hold you in under acceleration. The screen offers decent wind protection, and with its injection system inside the V of the engine, now that the cylinder heads have been turned round 90 degrees, there's lots more knee room. Ride quality on this semi-active Olanes-clad S model is as plush or sporty as you want it to be, depending on the riding mode you choose, and there's a handy remote rear preload adjuster to twiddle for carrying heavy loads. With its shorter engine, the Mandello is sportier and more agile than previous Guzzies, and thanks to its long swing arm and low pivot point, there's little up/down shaft drive pitching on and off the throttle. Yes, you can feel the back end rise and fall when you ride aggressively, but like the engine's rocking, it's a slight movement and a sensation that quickly melts into the background. But what feeling you lose with a chain you gain with the clean, maintenance-free convenience of that shaft, which is especially useful on a big tour. Through corners, the Guzzi is natural steering and composed. Damp roads stop us from pushing on, but the Mandello is always reassuring thanks to the grip of Pirelli's superb Angel GT Sports Touring rubber, now with a fatter 190/55x17 rear, and the knowledge the lean-sensitive traction control and ABS will quickly step in, just in case. Its brakes deserve a special mention, too. Brembo M432 calipers are incredibly powerful and tactile, something sadly missing from most ABS setups nowadays. Welcome to EC Motor Reviews channel. Piaggio Vespa GTS 300, 2022 on review. Since then it's been through a number of engine offerings and additional features, and it's almost 2 decades on the road, culminating in this GTS 300 SuperTech, which is the most advanced version yet. The styling has been tweaked sensitively to retain traditional cues while adding a modicum of modernity, and I reckon they've pulled that off brilliantly. We're riding it in the city, its handling was honed, and it's clear they're pleased as punch with their product, because some of Rome's poorer road surfaces make the UK's worst look like a pool table. And that's saying something. This is a major improvement on the previous bike. The front suspension has been redesigned with an additional pull rod, which helps tame the bouncing of the 12-inch wheel over rough roads. It makes the bike pliant and predictable over cobbled streets and potholes in a way other scooters can struggle with. Braking has been breathed on, with Brembo providing both master cylinders along with the rear caliper, and Nissan supplying the front. The levers themselves are angled further down for better comfort. We rode quickly and assertively for hours on end and finished thinking we could do it all again right away. The lever feel is progressive and positive, but will stop you rapidly given a good enough tug. Furthermore, this bike is pretty much the perfect partner for urban riding. Its steering is light and direct, but with loads of lock for rapid direction changes. It carves through traffic impressively well. Don't expect Panigale performance, but considering this bike's natural stomping ground, city centers packed with commuter traffic, the 300 HP motor is just the job. Mechanically, it's the same 278 cubic centimeters unit as introduced in 2019, albeit optimized for smoothness. Increased valve lift and a new multi-jet injector are controlled by the latest Magneti Marelli MIUG4 ECU, and additionally this allows the bike to be started with only 2 crankshaft revs, ideal for a quick getaway. It feels a little on the sluggish side when I first pull away, seemingly not as keen to rev as I'd like, but the elastic nature of the continuously variable transmission, CVT, didn't help there either. However, this Twist & Go is a seriously easy thing to ride, as well as sounding and feeling the part, although in my opinion a different Endkin would be a welcome addition to up the emotion a touch. Reliability and build quality. Next up, value. 4 out of 5. April 5th. A close inspection of the build quality of the bikes we rode in Rome reveals pleasingly high standards, which you'd expect given the premium positioning of the Vespa as Piaggio's upper-class scooters. The paint is rich and nicely applied, there aren't any ugly welds, and I couldn't spot anything of concern about the overall finish. Some of the switchgear on the bars did feel a little flimsy, though, leaving me wondering what it'd be like after a few years bustling through cities. Older Vespas also suffered with corrosion due to their pressed steel construction, but given this is a new model, time will tell whether this remains an issue. Try not to miss any services, either. The drive belts are known to fail if not regularly checked. Luckily, Vespa is offering fixed-price servicing to keep you covered. The level of kit on offer depends on the version of GTS 300 you're going for, but all get keyless ignition, a bike finder function that flashes the indicators when you press a button on the key, a glove box and storage under the seat. The Vespa MIA connectivity system is optional on Classic spec, and on the GTS Super, the main difference between these bikes is the colorways on offer, which are more traditional on the former and sportier on the latter. Moving up to GTS Super Sport means the MIA system is standard, while the GTS SuperTech gets the new TFT dashboard and carpet and lighting for the under-seat storage area. There's also a glove box with a USB connection to charge your devices while on the move. And on the subject of connectivity, download the Vespa app and you can connect your phone to this bike via Bluetooth. This will work with the optional Visor 3.0 lid, which has earphones and an intercom and will indeed fit under the seat. Welcome to EC Motor Reviews channel. Cine's Hero X 125, 2022 on review. And it's impressive even if you class yourself as a biker, like I do. Living in the countryside means I definite sway towards geared 125s like Cine's own Akuma. They're cheaper, faster, and more fun. However, should I ever move to a town or city, the Hero X would be among my first choices for transportation. It offers so much practicality and usability on a daily basis, is easy to ride, has impressive quality for the price, and works out of town too. Scooters may not be to everyone's fancy, and that's okay, but for someone who previously held them in low regard, the Hero X has opened my eyes. Who wouldn't like all that storage? The Hero X is the easiest thing to ride in the world. Most of its weight is concentrated very low down, which can take a bit to get your head around if you're used to a bike. However, provided the speed is right, not too fast, the Hero's cornering is decent. It's nice and stable despite the small wheels, too. This said, the Hero X is obviously much better suited to an urban environment rather than the pothole-littered roads of rural England, where you can get a little thrown around riding at speed, part of which is because of the scooter riding position. With its low handlebars, they class it as a sports scooter. It gives great forward visibility, easy urban control, and is very comfortable, especially with the mattress of a seat that's parked on the rear. You could breeze over a landmine and hardly feel a bump with all the cushioning. The brakes pack a punch whether you're stopping for town center traffic or have been confronted by an angry badger. As is common with most scooters, the back brake acts as if you've been suddenly anchored to the ground. For a rider like myself who isn't used to such force, it's quite the shock, but for quick stop situations, I'm definitely not complaining. Beneath the layers of plastic